achieves certain ends. The non-theist or the atheist will say that that which is defined as good is what achieves a good end. But this only transfers the thrust of the question of approval. You first have to define what good is. You can't say that good is that which achieves a good end without defining what good is. You're engaging in a type of circular reasoning. It just transfers the thrust of the question of approval. And the problem also is that no one has ever observed the future, except for God, of course. You don't know for sure that your particular actions are going to bring about the end result that you want. Next, we have U, which stands for uniformity of nature. The God of atheism is science. The problem is that science depends on the uniformity of nature. Science studies predictability in human experience. Here is a standard chart of the scientific method. You can see that it begins with observation, analysis, hypothesis building, hypothesis testing, and then scientific theory. And then the scientific theory should be repeatable. In order for this process to be repeatable, it depends on uniformity of nature. In other words, it depends on tomorrow being just like today. Let me give you an example. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you will put your toothpaste, hopefully, on your toothbrush. You expect it to fall downward because of the law of gravity. This is because of uniformity of nature. Nature is working in a uniform manner. This is how we can predict things like a solar eclipse, because of the uniformity of nature. We know the speed of the rotation of the Earth. We know the speed and the gravitational pull of the moon. We know where the sun is located, and so we can sit down with a calculator and predict the next solar eclipse. And this, once again, is a result of the uniformity of nature. But in an atheistic world, everything is in a constant state of flux or change. Everything is constantly changing, and there is no reason to believe that tomorrow will be like today. We've never observed tomorrow. We've never observed the future. And so we have whales, like Shamu, turning into lizards and eventually turning into animals that resemble Barney the dinosaur. But if evolution is true, then we are just biological bags in motion. There is no meaning. There are no morals. We are simply part of the animal kingdom. Or even more, part of the biological kingdom. C stands for concepts and laws that are universal. Universal, immaterial, and abstract. Science can't account for concepts and laws that are universal. Philosophy can't account for concepts that are universal. And so we see, for example, the number 2. The number 2 is a universal, immaterial, and abstract concept. You can't stub your toe on number 2. Number 2 isn't growing in California somewhere. Number 2 is a concept. The concept of two-ness is immaterial, universal, and abstract. And so are the laws of logic. For example, the law of non-contradiction is that A cannot be non-A at the same time in the same place. This is a universal, immaterial, and abstract law. Where does it exist? Why is it binding on man? Where did it come from? Philosophy nor science can explain concepts and laws that are universal. They simply assume them. They simply presuppose them. For example, this star cannot be both alive and dead at the same time. So how do atheists account for universal, immaterial, and abstract concepts and laws? Well, first of all, some have suggested that they are man-made conventions that are contingent upon the physical brain. The problem is that would mean abstract laws, such as the law of non-contradiction, only existed when man came into existence, and they will cease to exist when man goes out of existence. If they are dependent upon the human brain, that is the physical human brain, then that means that there could have been a star that was both alive and both dead before man existed. But that's ridiculous. Nobody would believe that. Secondly, some have suggested that they are a function of the human brain. So some brains function more efficiently than others, like a digestive system. Some people have good digestion, others don't. Some people have good ability to reason, and they are very logical, and others don't. The problem with that, once again, is that if logic is only a function of the human brain, then logic is restricted to the existence of the human brain. And now you have the same problem as you had with the first explanation. And furthermore, nobody could be accused of being illogical or irrational because their brains are only functioning naturally, the way that they're supposed to function. Simply put, atheists cannot account for universal laws that are immaterial. And yet they depend on rationality. They are looking for people who are rational and reasonable and place a high premium on logic. Interesting that they can't account for it. Some atheists have said, we don't have to account for logic. We know that logic is a reality, so get over it. Other atheists have come out now and say, logic doesn't exist. There is no such thing as logic, so just forget about it. This is the dilemma that atheists face. H stands for human dignity. What is human dignity? In atheism, man is just another animal. There is no human dignity. But although atheism teaches that man is just another animal, atheists don't live this way. In other words, atheists don't live consistently with their worldview. They believe that man evolved from a lower species. The problem is when we have somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, all of society cringes at the fact that Jeffrey Dahmer would eat another human being. But at the same time, we eat cows every day for lunch. So it's okay to eat our brother the cow, but it's not okay to eat our brother Evander Holyfield.